everybody and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Anna, and I know last week we didn't have a video, but I promise you from now on we're gonna have lots of videos. I'm going to be much more consistent because my life has, calmed down a little bit. It hasn't fully calmed down, but it is a little bit more calm, and I will be able to film at least once a week, so it is all fine. Please stay with me because it was, a rough 2 months, I want to say. December and January, I was pretty busy with work. But like I said, it has calmed down. And I do hope that it's not too late because this is the 23rd of January when I'm filming this. And I hope it's not too late to talk about, my reading goals for 2026. Because I just really wanted to share them with you guys. And I just want to keep myself accountable, let's just say it, and I want to see if I'm making any progress with these goals. And I only have 5 goals, which to some people it might be a lot, but to me it isn't. And I actually feel a lot more free this year for some reason. And I'm very excited for all of these goals because, I don't know, I just think it's going to be such a good reading year because of these goals. Because last year, 2025, in terms of quality-wise, I didn't have that many books that I absolutely loved. And you can definitely check that out with the top 5 books that I read in 2025. The last video I posted, you can tell that I didn't really have a lot of good readings. It wasn't a horrible year. There just wasn't a lot of quality to it. I was obsessed with The Song of Ice and Fire, and thank God I read it last year because I was completely obsessed with that series, and it's still one of my favorite sagas of all time. It is amazing. The quality is astounding. It is stunning. But like I said, 2025, it didn't have a lot of quality fantasy books, which, it just left me very, very sad because fantasy is my main genre. It's the genre that I love the most. And this year, I really wanted to change that. And that's why these goals are really going to help me get through that. So without further ado, here are my 5 goals for 2026. So number 1, read 30 books. This one is simple, okay? This one is very simple, and I usually put 40 books, but last year, I was reading A Song of Ice and Fire, and each book has 1,000 more pages. I also finished the Stormlight Archive last year, which also has 1,000 plus pages. I just read a lot of chunky books last year, and because of that, and I am a slow reader, I just didn't have the time to read 40 books, so I had to change my reading goal for 30. And, I also had my thesis, and now this year, I do have to prepare, my thesis defense because I do have to present it and defend it, unfortunately. But I am also going to have to study a lot to become a judge, if I want to pass the exams to enter, the School of Judges, let's just say it like that. So I'm also going to be very, very busy. And I just don't really want to feel pressured with the amount of books I want to read. So I think 30 is very feasible. And if I do start seeing that, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to read 30, just read shorter books. Just read shorter books. Everything is fine. Yes, it can be considered cheating, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Fantasy has a lot of chunky books. And because I am a slow reader, I do take a lot of time to read them. But I think 30 books, it just hits the spot perfectly. The second goal that I want for 2026 is to finally start The Realm of the Elderlings by Hobb. I am so excited, and I have started Assassin's Apprentice, and I will have, a separate reading vlog for that one because, of course, people, I do have to record this time of my life. Reading The Realm of the Elderlings for the first time, I have to record it. It has to, stay immortalized for my entire life. And honestly, I'm very excited for this because I've only heard good things about Hobb, about her writing, and I can testify to that. Her writing is stunning. It's beautiful. And just the character work overall and how people get so obsessed and so invested with this 16-book series. Now, I do want to clarify. I only want to read 1 book per month. So I'm only going to read 12 books. My goal is not to finish The Realm of the Elderlings right now in 2026. My goal is to read, just as much as I can of The Realm of the Elderlings. 1 book per month, I think that is sufficient. I think that is good enough because I do like binging trilogies and sagas, but not to the point where I'm just rushing everything, So I do think 1 book a month is going to be enough. And I don't know, man, I'm just very, very excited because I just really want to feel, every year, I really want to be obsessed with a new series, with a new saga. That is what I want. And I have a feeling that The Realm of the Elderlings is going to be that for me. It's going to be my A Song of Ice and Fire, if you will, for 2026. My third goal for 2026 is to use my public library a lot more. I've had a card ever since I was a kid, and I used it so much more when I was, much younger, when I was a teenager, when I was also 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, because they had such a big range for children. The problem is my public library, when it comes to fantasy, it's horrible. It is very, very poor because fantasy here in Portugal is pretty much still a niche genre. Not a lot of people read fantasy. Portuguese people, they don't tend to take fantasy seriously, unfortunately, which means that my public library, I also don't live in a very big city. it's just very poor. It has a very poor selection. It only has authors that are very, very old, which is fine. Of course, it has George R. R. Martin, it has Glenn Cook, it has Tolkien, Christopher Paolini, but I want new releases, you know what I mean? Like, my public library doesn't even have Brandon Sanderson, which to me is crazy because this man has been writing for years and he is so popular, but again, not a single book from Brandon Sanderson. So that's what I mean by I don't really use the public library that much, but I really want to try and use it more this year because it's just so much fun. It's a lot of fun, and I really want to bring back those times, and this is going to tie in with another goal of mine, so I think I'm just going to say it. So, number 4, my other goal is to also read in a more spontaneous way. Because last year, and for the longest time, for I think ever since 2021, when I started reading consistently, I love lists. I am a person that I love lists, I love TBRs, I love to-do lists. I get so excited for making a to-do list. Really, it's just the Virgo in me, the Capricorn in me, the earth element in me of having everything organized. I love it. I really, really do. But last year, I think my reading didn't have as much quality to it because I didn't allow myself to read books that I just wanted to read. And this year, I really want to change that. I still have a list. Of course, I do need a list. I do need a TBR, but it's a much, much, much shorter TBR, and I have so much more space to add books that I just think are interesting. And the reason why this connects with my public library is because even if there isn't a fantasy book there, just read something else. Because I missed, when I was a kid, just browsing the library, picking up the books, and reading the synopsis at the back, seeing what people thought of it, and seeing if it's interesting, if it's not interesting, and then taking it home. Because, of course, I don't have that much money to keep buying books, and it's just a big commitment. Use the public library. You can lend books. And that is exactly what I want to do. So I really just want to go to the public library. I gave myself 8 times. So 8 months this year, I do have to use the public library once, just 8 books from the public library. I'm not going to demand too much for myself, and also just picking something. Pick something from there, read the back of the books, explore the books. It doesn't always have to be fantasy. I can also read thrillers, mysteries, classics, anything that I find interesting. Pick up from that library and just have a go at it, because I don't know why. I just really miss that spontaneity. I don't know if this is a word. I literally don't know if this is a word, spontaneity. I'm just going to say, I miss being spontaneous. There we go. I just miss finding gems all around the library, miss finding books that nobody has ever talked about, or it's just not much talked about. I've never heard it before. I just really want that feeling back because, when you're a kid, it feels like the world is, an oyster, is your oyster. Everything is open, everything is new, and that's kind of what I want to bring for 2026. It's just more spontaneity and really use my public library for that purpose. And my 5th goal for 2026, and I always have this goal, is read 4 classics. And I just like the number 4. I'm very I just really like pair numbers. I don't know why. Don't ask me. I don't know if this is some OCD, some weird type of thing. I just like pair numbers. That's just what I like. And I always found that 4 classic books is enough. It hits the spot. It's enough for me. And I've really been enjoying just reading classic literature. I do have a list, so if everything goes well, I really wanted to read White Knights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I also really wanted to read the Odyssey and the Iliad by Homer, and what is the other book? I completely forgot. Oh, The Divine Comedy by Dante. So I really want to read these 4 classics. Let's just see if it happens. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to have the courage to read these because these are very hefty books and I'm a little bit intimidated by them. But the reason why I want to read these 3 in particular, the Iliad, the Odyssey, and the Divine Comedy, is because I really want to read Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I know you don't need to read all of these to enjoy Catabasis, but I do, okay? I just really want to do it. It's a recommended list, so I'm going to follow that recommendation to the T, and I just hope that reading all of this, I'm going to enjoy Catabasis a lot more. And lastly, my 6th goal for 2026 is to read 2 nonfiction books. Exactly, people. I am so scared of nonfiction. I have never read a nonfiction book, unless it's for school, obviously. I've just never decided to read one of free will, you know what I mean? But I really want to do that. And the way that I want to, I haven't decided on the books yet, but I think I really do like this advice, which is if you want to start reading nonfiction, then start by, picking subjects that you absolutely like. The problem is, I'm not interested in a lot of things. In my free time, I love spooky podcasts. That's what I love. I love spooky podcasts, spooky stories, experiences that people have. So I might have to find, some nonfiction books about some spooky experiences that people have had. I don't know if that is even possible because, paranormal I don't want to say in and of itself paranormal is fiction, but it does obviously tend to lean into that. So if you do have any recommendations on nonfiction with paranormal experiences, then please let me know down below in the comments, because I really want to do that and maybe develop an interest or another so I can read more nonfiction books. But I really want to try reading more nonfiction because I just want to learn things. You know, I want to learn things and I want to get used to reading nonfiction. And I think this way is the best way. And these are all of my reading goals for 2026. And sorry for the lighting because it just got really, really dark. Portugal is, of course, you know, in the midst of another storm because that's just how it's been for a while. So I do apologize how dark it got. But like I said, these are all of my reading goals for 2026. Please let me know down in the comments below, what are your reading goals for 2026? I really like knowing what other people's goals are because they can just inspire me. You know, it's just inspiring and motivating to see so many people with so many different goals. So please share them down below. I'm a little bit nosy as well. And if you have any recommendations for me when it comes to books for completing my goals, also please let them know down in the comments because it would be very, very helpful. And please don't forget to subscribe and like this video because it does help my channel out a lot and it gives me a lot of motivation and validation to continue filming these videos for you guys. And I will see you on my next video. Bye!